Welcome to Tree Dog Tuesday, only on the Fueled by Joy Working Dog Podcast. Someone is going to have to explain to me why you would spend your hard-earned money on a foreign dog food. Joy Dog Food is a family-owned small business that uses American ingredients. Not only that, they are a tireless supporter of hound sports and working dog sports in general. So, you need a good dog food, you want an American dog food, you want somebody that supports our way of life and our lifestyle, don't be shipping all your money up north. Spend it on Joy Dog Food, high energy, super meal, high performance, adult performance, you name it. All those feeds are great and they will keep your hard working dog going night in, night out, day in, day out, depending on the sport you love. So, want more info on Joy Dog Food? All you got to do is go to joydogfood.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Tree Dog Tuesday, and I got a good guest for you today. I'm at the wonderful home drinking a good cup of hot black coffee with Mike Pulke, and we are here at Fall Super Steaks in Southern Illinois. And Mike, first of all, thanks for being on here with me. I really appreciate it. I've got to come here. I got to hunt with you the other night. I got to meet your lovely wife. I'm at your lovely home, and you had a really, really good run at Super Steaks with the dog that you had a good run last year at Freshman Baby Stakes, too, with little Maggie. So let's just start off. We'll go backwards here in a little bit, but let's go start off in the present. How did you made it to the semifinals last night with Maggie? How did your cast go?
Well, last night I had Bill Lewis with Cash and Jason Hunt with Rodeo Express, and we were hunting state ground, and it was a little bit rough, and we didn't tree a coon last night.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We just had all circle points, and at the end of it, Bill Lewis and Cash ended up 25 circle points ahead.
Well, I tell you what, the coons have been hard to come by this week, haven't they?
Yep.
I mean, even last night in the senior finals, which, you know, those you were hunting the sophomores. These were the oldest dogs. These were the most well-seasoned dogs. And we treed two coons in an hour and a half, and it took an hour and 29 minutes and 10 seconds to tree the winning coon.
Right.
So, coons are hard to come by, but you've had a good run with Maggie. Tell me about Maggie just real quick. What kind of dog is she? I haven't got to hunt with her. Of course, we didn't want to hunt her the night before. She was going to be in the semifinals of Super Steak. But what kind of dog is Maggie?
Okay, well, she's got a lot of desire, and that's the main thing. She never wants to quit. She just goes and goes and goes. You can't already wear her down. She wants to be turned loose again and again and again. She does well in a recut, and I think that's what helps her.
Yeah.
She's a decent strike dog, good strike dog, and opens good.
And what's she out of?
Okay, she is. She's out of American Power Trip and Fergie's Wipeout Sky. So I think everybody knows the Power Trip. She's out of Power Pack and Flat River Magic.
Super Stakes champion himself right there.
Twice, I think.
Yeah,
I'm not
think
sure.
So.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yep. And then, so Sky is a litter mate to the Stoner dog, I think.
Yep.
Won the Super Stakes. And, of course, he's out of Fergie's Wipeout Ace, or she's out of Fergie's Wipeout Ace and gold champion Wipeout Fuzz, which, so I think Sky goes back to Old Zeb 5 times.
Yeah.
And then 4 times through Moose and 1 time through Coy.
Did you get Maggie as a baby puppy?
Got her as a little baby puppy. I when I wanted to get back in, I had so much luck with the Wipeout dog before. I decided, hey, why not go right back? So I just hollered at Kitty and said, what do you got? He said, I've got a puppy. He said, 1 female left, and I said, well, I've never really taken last pick.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, an old man told me one time, close your eyes and reach in there and grab one. You have just as good a luck as picking the one you think would be the best one. And he was right, So we got her, and we went to the top of the river catfish place, wherever that's at down there. Place that has a real good coleslaw and everything. So we parked out under a tree so she'd be cooler, and I could hear her barking all the way in that restaurant, and I thought, man, that pup is loud, because she was loud. That's a long way from the restaurant, through the walls and people talking and everything,
the dog box and everything.
Yep. So anyway, then we brought her home and turned her loose right down here in this basement, and the little crazy thing made a couple loops around here, and she wasn't as tall as each one of those steps because she was just 6 or 7 weeks old, and decided, hey, she's going up the steps. I told my wife, I said, that thing's crazy enough to make something.
Yeah.
So a funny little story about Maggie is my wife called. Well, first off, it was turning spring, and she was just a little puppy, like 3 or 4 months old. I guess maybe 4 months old. I'd hear her squeak, striking a track and running it across the wheat field, and then she would shut up, and I thought, she's running a track and stopping. And then I noticed she would come back with a turtle in her mouth. So then my wife called me at work one day. She never called me at work. I thought, something's bad going on here. So I answered, and she said, the grandkids are out here, and Maggie has a turtle stuck in the roof of her mouth, and we cannot get it out. I don't know what to do. Should I take her to the vet or what? I was like, no, don't take her to the vet. It'll come out, or what? I'll get it out when I get home. Well, I got home, and she was laying there sleeping. She had fought so hard to get that turtle out of the roof of her mouth. She was laying there sleeping with the turtle in her mouth, and the turtle was looking around, I had to get a pair of channel locks and a screwdriver and pry that turtle shell out of her. It was a terrapin, out of the roof of her mouth. So she's always been kind of crazy,
I've heard of dogs doing some of the wildest things in the world, but I've never heard of one get a turtle stuck in its mouth. Yeah,
it just fit in there perfect and wedged in there, and it wasn't coming out.
And she was just sound asleep.
She fell asleep with the turtle in there, and the turtle was looking around,
I bet that turtle went back home, and he's like, you ain't going to believe what happened to me.
That's right. Yeah. So then she just started running rabbits around here. And then I noticed she was kind of treeing squirrels. And it was 4th of July, which she was right at 6 months old. And we had the whole family over, and it was about to get dark. And I said, well, there's a dog treat. Started looking around. I was like, well, where's Maggie? It's got to be Maggie. So I jumped on a side-by-side and went out there, and she had a bunch of kittens coons treated. Yeah. So we just started taking her hunting, and first time I took her hunting, she went hunting just like an old dog. Took off, went hunting good, and of course she hunts harder now, but I mean she hunted fairly hard when she was just a puppy.
When you said you wanted to go down to Kitty and you said you had good luck with the Wipeout dogs, and you just want to get back into it, was that dead set, I'm going to get me another Wipeout dog, I'm going to call Barry Kitty, and that's what I want, and I think that's what's going to suit me best?
That's right. Barry Kitty and Ferguson, I knew that's where I wanted to go back to, and I'll tell you the reason why. So I had a dog named Tom that was out of Wade's Jill dog. Yep. I loved him. He had a great big mouth, could really fly on a track, really, really, really fly. He didn't have enough coons. He missed too much. Mm-hmm. And I thought I could fix him, but I was never able to fix him. But that dog, I got another good hunter around here was Wade's father-in-law, Donnie Hicks. Yep. So I got a couple females out of him because I wanted some pups out of Tom. And they were out of Rambo, which was basically bred just like Jill. Yeah. And Tom was out of Jill and Silas Lipper. So I started breeding those dogs, and believe it or not, they were extremely accurate. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the deal was. Tom was not as accurate as he should have been, but everything he threw was very, very accurate. Yep. And so I had a dog named Flea out of that cross, and She was a decent little dog, treed coons and everything, but I'd always heard of the Wipeout dogs. Everyone talked about the Wipeout dogs, saw them in the magazine, saw Zeb, Coy, everything. Yep. So I went down to an added purse hunt in Kentucky, and I draw out, and this dog opens. First of all, this dog is like about the tallest dog I've ever seen.
They were big.
I never saw anything like it. Never saw anything built like that and have legs like that. Yeah. And this dog just annihilated us and moved a track and he just flew. I have no idea what the name of the dog was. It's been so long ago. And I just asked the kid, I said, what is that dog out of? He said, Wipeout Coy. I have no idea who the kid was. And I said, are all the dogs like that? He's like, yeah, basically everything that he's putting on the ground, a lot like that. So I just took my little dog down and bred to Coy. Yeah. and got a dog I called Possum, and she was a big dog, a lot bigger than the dogs I had, and that put so much drive and desire in the dogs. I thought I had drive and desire before, but I didn't. It was on a whole nother level. We didn't know what to do with those dogs. A bunch of them got ran over. I gave them to hunters around here. A bunch of them got ran over. A couple local hunters, I couldn't believe they did it, but they shot theirs because they said they ran coyotes and then would go a mile and then tree a coon.
We were not equipped
no,
for dogs like that back then.
Never saw anything like it.
Yeah.
So it's a shame that happened to that litter of dogs, you know.
It makes you wonder back in the day whenever even the lipper dogs too, because they were trailing type. A lot of them were wild dogs, you know, and you would get some that were really good tree dogs and would stay. Some of them wouldn't get treed until they were 2 years old.
Right.
But the Wipeout dogs come along and they're bigger and they're more athletic and they move like crazy and they'll run anything that lays a track for a while. Mm-hmm. And they were probably, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but they were probably the kind of pups that you could have started super early.
Yeah.
And got right by a year old instead of just back then. We started them at a year old, 14 months, 15 months. You know, it was a long time before we ever got them going.
Right.
And so you get coy pups up here and you're used to hunting something else. I bet that is a big switch.
Yeah, because we could hunt small areas. We could just pop in somewhere and hunt a small woods, and you couldn't do that with those dogs.
Yeah.
No one knew that. And so, yeah, you're right. Like at 10 or 11 months old, I had the Willie dog I ended up buying back. But Mike LaBeouf down in Louisiana had him, and he was up here at Walker Days, and he said, let me drop him off and let him run loose for a little while. So, and I kept the Possum dog.
Yeah.
So they were probably 8 months old then. They both started trying to run and tree when they were running loose. Yeah. So at 10 months old, I could take those two dogs, and I could send one direction and one the other direction. And they would just fly. They would bust out of there and go hunting and strike and run and tree. I never saw anything like it.
And independent dogs, I don't know if it was the same way here as it was at home, but independent dogs, what we would call independent is a dog that would be treed, and if another dog come treed next to it, it wouldn't leave.
Right.
We didn't have dogs that just made a point to go be by themselves back then. Were these kind of the first set of dogs that you seen like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. They packed up more. They definitely packed up more.
Yep. Yeah. And so that's what you wanted when you got back into it. Whenever you went to go get Maggie.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I knew that Power Trip had won a couple super stakes, and I knew Kitty had him for a while. I knew Kitty kept him for a while. He probably treated a lot of coons, and I'd probably like him too.
Yep.
So.
Well, let's back up a little bit. We talked a little bit hunting the other night about your dad and your granddad and stuff like that. But when did you get started doing all this? Because, I mean, back in the day, there were a lot more houndsmen around. It was a more common thing. Kids did it at school. You know, your friends did it and stuff. But it was still a sport that when you turn loose, you either love it or you don't,
right?
I think. And so was it something that you just loved immediately? Who was taking you? When did you get your first experience in it?
Well, I knew my grandpa hunted foxhounds, beagles, coonhounds, and he died when I was pretty young. He actually died at a field trial.
No kidding.
Yeah, with a lead strap in his hand, just fell over dead. Yep. And he loved dogs all of his life and always had working dogs and a dog to do everything. I know my dad joked. He said, "I think Grandpa liked those foxhounds because it was a good excuse to drink blackberry brandy and wait for that fox to come around. All of them would sit around and drink some brandy and wait for the fox to come around." Yeah. So my dad always had dogs, and my first experience with tree dogs was squirrel dogs.
Yeah.
My dad always had coon dogs, and coon dogs, they were for making money.
Yeah.
But I think he enjoyed squirrel dogs. He would take some little dog and had so much patience and would get it treeing squirrels and just tree the heck out of squirrels.
Really?
And just had a good time. So my first tree dog experience was squirrel dogs.
Yeah. And what were they like? I assume it was just back then people would just get a dog.
Yeah. So one of them, to tell you how crazy it was, one of them was half lab and half coonhound. And one of them had some hound and had border collie in it. You know, just all mixed up dogs, and he had some crazy looking, I don't know what it was, like a Malamute looking thing. It would tree squirrels. It wasn't a good tree dog, but he'd go tree squirrels. You know, he'd mess with it until he got it treeing squirrels. I don't know. He just had a knack of somehow getting dogs to tree squirrels.
Did you like the squirrel hunting as much as he did?
I did, but we'd went coon hunting a few times. Coon hunted some. I liked it okay, but well, my first experience with made me fall in love with coon hunting was going with Danny Gray. He was a neighbor guy that hunted hard and a competition hunter. And my dad, he would coon hunt with. He had coon hounds when he was a kid, but he would coon hunt with those cur mixed up dogs or whatever, you know. So with Danny, it was more of a. He had, I think, Lightfoot Susie or something like that at the time. So me and Greg and Butch Taylor, I don't know if you know them. They had the Abbey dog for years, really good dog. Them two, they were a force to be reckoned with. And so he would take us all the time, and that's when I really started liking it. Yeah. And then I got a little older and started liking girls, and I could play guitar and stuff like that. Yeah. So I quit hunting for a little while and did that. And
we all did.
Yeah.
I didn't play the guitar, but it was the same thing. We go through stretches when we're teenagers.
Well, I was bad enough to start that again. So then I hunted years and years, started back with hounds again. And that's when I got Tom from Wade. Yeah. And started back with hounds again. And then years later, I don't know what year it was, like 2000 and I don't even know, 8 or 9 or something like that. I decided, well, you know what, I want to start playing music again. And I quit hunting and started playing music again. I thought, hey, I can go out here and make a couple $100 each night, be home on time, knew what time I was coming home, and not have to lay out all night through the week trying to get a hound ready. Yeah. So, but I always missed it the whole time and couldn't wait to get back in. And I finally decided, you know what, this isn't for me anymore. And I really, really miss it and want to get back to hunting hounds. So,
whenever you first started hunting with them guys that had really good dogs, what was the difference? Because I remember when I did it, and when I finally seen that guy, that I was like, oh my, these are different, than what we're hunting. Right. What was that like when you seen those guys that took it so seriously and were succeeding and had really good dogs, and not just doing, and nothing knocking a guy that just wants to go out there and do it for fun and sell furs. We love those guys too. My family was the same way. But was that something where you seen and you're like, you know what, that is what I want? Yes. And I want to win, and I want to have great dogs, and I want to have all that stuff. Was that something you thought immediately?
Oh yeah. Yep.
And what was the difference between your granddad's dogs and these?
Oh, well, one, opening on track.
Yeah.
I know I like a dog that opens good on track. A lot of people don't. They like one quiet. I like one opening. And I was just blown away. They strike and open like that. And then the locate, because those dogs I was used to didn't have a locate like that. Yeah. I mean, I just love a good locate. And then just real good tree dogs. They were a lot better tree dogs than what I was used to.
Yeah. And that locate back then was so important, because a lot of them dogs, even in competition, would pack. Yeah. And so that one bark giant locate tree dog was a lot more common back then. Absolutely. Because you needed to have it. Yeah. Even if your dog was second, if he was louder and he could tree him on one bark, you were safe. You could win. Yep. But what were those first few nights? How old were you when you started hunting with them guys?
Maybe 11 or 12, 13, 14, somewhere around in there.
Old enough to know that, oh my.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And they gave us a dog that nobody wanted, and we didn't know that. His name was Finley River Dan, or Finley River. He was Finley River something. And we chased that. We followed that poor dog around all winter long, and it never did get treated. They wanted rid of a dog and pushed it off on us. Yep. That's how bad we wanted to tree a coon. We followed a dog around all winter.
And coons were high back then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You guys skinned everything. Did you put your own fur up and all that stuff?
No. You know what? We just froze them. We had a deep freeze. We just froze them and took them in like that.
Yeah. And because that was that's the way a lot of families made money back then. Yeah.
My dad he wanted just a meat dog. I mean, he wanted just, and hey, if you was with him and you saw one setting up in a tree, he didn't care. He shot it out too.
Yeah, you bet. They were coon hunting, not coon looking.
That's right.
What did your dad say about those other guys' dogs? Did he have any opinion on them?
No, not really. I remember one time he said he liked the silent dogs. Yeah. He said when he was a kid, he said he remembered freezing his toes off listening to a dog bawl around out there. So. He said, I don't want no dog out there bawling around. He's like, I want a dog that's, if it's going to do something, do it right now, you know.
He's got a good point, because we've all about froze our toes off listening to the dogs running around. If it had been cold the other night when me and you hunted, we'd have done the same thing.
We sure would have, yeah.
What, when you got your Finley River dog that nobody wanted, was your dad around there?
It was Bob, Finley River Bob.
Yeah.
Actually, it was my nephew, Tim and Rick Struck, that hunted with Dan also, that got him. And they just, I don't know why they gave him to him. I guess because he wouldn't get treed.
Because he wouldn't get treed, be my guess.
Yeah.
Whenever you got back into it, you know, you said you got in, you got out, you got in, you got out. Like, and that's pretty common. A lot of guys do that, especially even some of the super hard hunters. You know, I've seen guys like John Strickland and them guys quit for a little spell. But when you got back into it, were you looking for a certain type of dog that kind of matched what you were hunting with before?
It was.
You know,
yeah.
But you didn't go out and say, hey, what's winning now? What's doing this?
I looked at that some, but I thought, you know what? I enjoy a dog opening and getting open and listening to it run. And so I'll tell you what, though. After years and years of breeding the Wipeout stuff, they get treed a lot better than they used to.
Yeah, they do.
They get treed and get hooked and stay hooked a lot better.
I think a lot of that credit goes to Zeb 3. I think he was the one that really put them dogs to where they were young and treeing instead of young and just running. Right. Yeah.
So the possum dog I had, she did terrible with other dogs. It's like Barry said.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows those dogs so good in and out. If you just get that guy on the phone and let that guy talk, he taught me so much just by call. I called him not too long ago, about a month ago, and just let that guy talk, and man, I can learn more about dogs than I could ever think of myself.
Yeah.
And but he talked about how they just wanted to be with you and a .22 rifle, and that's basically the way she was.
Yeah.
She hated going places. She hated being around dogs, being around people, and everything.
Yeah.
Now Maggie, she's the complete opposite. You can take her out and she just goes and trees coons and everything, but you take her and line her up with 2 or 3 dogs, and man, she loves it.
Adds an extra gear. Those are the special types, I think, in my opinion. And I don't know how many times I've had dogs that were pretty decent dogs, and I'm thinking, you know, man, I'd hunt them for 6-8 months. And I don't know if he's good enough. I don't know if she's good enough or something. Then you line them up in a cast, and you're like, oh, my. I didn't even know this dog could do this.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Was Maggie kind of the same way?
Yeah, well, she would go tree coons and everything, but just not get in a big hurry and everything. But you take her with another dog, and she just had a whole new gear.
Yeah, those are the good ones.
She was competitive around the house here. We had other pups, and she's always everything. You take, just like when we had little pups around the house, I don't know why, like out on the patio out there. Yeah. When I feed them, instead of just feeding them in a bowl, I just take food and throw it out and let them, you know what, be competitive. Get your food that way.
Yeah.
So they'd run around as fast as they could, and she was always just always super competitive.
Yeah.
She was bred that way, I guess. I don't know. I don't think it's anything I added.
Speaking of around here, you know, you got a beautiful place. It's great hunting. You know, when I drive out here, it looks very similar to my house.
Yep.
Not a lot of folks, a lot of big country.
Yep.
A lot of good coon population, crops, all that stuff. But back when you first started competition hunting, and you think of some of the just pure killers that lived in this area, what was it like going to a hunt in southern Illinois back in the day when you first started?
Well, let me tell you what. If you went to a hunt back then, just an added purse hunt, you might draw Barry Kitty, David Dial, the Dials, Ronnie Bone, Tim Kramer, Yant, Ronnie Smith, Nickens, Maynard or Sluggo, Jess Dickerson, Scott Engel, Strickland, Jeff Rickless. They had Greg and Butch Taylor around here with with Abby.
Yep.
It was tough. I mean, I don't think anybody now realizes what it was like, and the battles fought over a $15 hunt.
Oh yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was something to see.
Who was the guys that you'd show up at a hunt and you draw them and you think, thank goodness, or you draw them and think, oh no.
All those guys I just mentioned.
None of them were thank goodness. No. They were all oh no.
Right. Taylor Brothers. Yep. I mean, Alan Gasson, he was a local hunter. I still hunt with Alan some, and he always had a good English dog. Yeah, there was a lot of local hunters that had dogs that treed coons. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, and
it really was.
This is the Fueled by Joy podcast. Of course, Wade Grashwitt's a friend of both you and me, and he's told me some old war stories and stuff like that. But because I was talking to, it was somebody yesterday, and Wade wasn't there, and he was talking about coon dogs. I think it was Dial. And I thought, you know what? I bet Wade would have been miserable to draw back in the day.
Yeah.
He was, wasn't he?
Oh, I'm sure. I didn't hunt against Wade, but David Dial and let me see, Wade. Trying to think who else. Any of those, all those guys was really, really tough to draw.
What were some of the clubs back here that you hunted in a lot back then?
Pinckneyville. I'd go down to Junction, Mount Vernon. Go to Tilden.
Yep. And you were gonna draw pretty good dogs.
Oh yeah.
Just about every night.
Mm-hmm.
What was the style of dogs when you first started going into competition hunting? Were they immediately kind of independent, or were they packed up dogs?
They were packed up more.
Yeah.
They wasn't as independent.
When did you start seeing the independents around here?
It was about time I was getting out. They were more independent. Yep. 2005 to 2008 or something like that. They was getting more independent. And
what were you hunting in the hunts then?
I was hunting a dog called Willie. He was out of Flea, and my little Flea dog, and out of Wipeout Coy.
Yeah.
And he was a 200 point. It was 100 and 100 back then. He was a 200 point dog, he was going to get you 200 almost every cast, and you wouldn't believe how many casts I won with 200 points.
Yeah. What was the coon population like back then? It wasn't like now.
Nothing like it is now. We have a lot more coons now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think we were talking about this the other night, and I think maybe the dogs are a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe the dogs are a little bit better. But also, there are a lot more coons to tree than there was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, and when you start seeing that, Maggie, and, you think of your dog out of Flea and Coy, you said you won a lot of casts with 200 and something. Was that the kind of dog that would have had 325, 450 if the coons were available?
Probably so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think he'd probably treat at least 2 coons a cast then.
Yeah, exactly.
There was more coons, yeah.
And so you think he would have been able to compete today pretty good?
I think so, yeah. He's a real good strike dog. And, sometimes he would just tree one right out of the truck, but most of the time he would get struck for 100, trail around and tree a coon and have it.
And Maggie, very similar?
No, she likes to get treed more. She's looking to get treed a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think of the coon population, you think of the dogs, you think of all that stuff, and especially around here. Were you traveling a lot? You said you'd go down to Kentucky some, you'd go to other places. Were you going a long ways to hunts?
Yeah, I'd go to Tennessee and Kentucky and maybe over to Indiana or Missouri.
And dogs all traveled good, hauled good, all that
pretty
stuff,
good.
Never had any trouble?
Yeah, you know what? I wasn't smart enough to get them ready for traveling like I am now. Now I try to get them used to it at a young age. And just like Maggie, I'd go to Rural King or go somewhere, when she was little. She always went right along, and we had them traveling and being around people and everything. We didn't know to do that back then. I just didn't know any better.
Yeah. We were talking the other night, and you said you're like, look, I don't train on them. I want a pup that's just pretty natural.
Yeah.
You talk about Maggie running loose and treeing coons, even your shifter pup that you hunted the other night and stuff, she was pretty natural running loose.
Yep.
Do you think that's a benefit to you or a detriment in the long run? Because I've seen it both ways. I've seen guys just like you that always have a good dog, but they really don't do much with them. But I think maybe you're training on them more than you think. You talk about taking them to Rural King. You talk about spreading the feed out here and looking for competition and stuff. Do you think that maybe you're training on them a little more than you're giving yourself credit for?
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah.
Because I'm a little different, and I've seen it both ways. I don't like my pups to run loose unattended over long periods of time, but I want them to be used to the woods. I want them to be used to getting out there by themselves. But I see a lot of bad habits, a lot of times when they're running loose, but I've also had the brakes beat off me by a dog that just ran loose until it started treeing coons, and then they start taking it to town too.
Yep.
So that's the way you prefer, and that's the way you've always preferred.
I want one 100% natural. Yeah. Because when I breed that dog, I want to breed it to another dog that's 100% natural. Yeah. And I know guys that want a dog that's just trainable.
Yeah.
And some dogs are just much more trainable.
Yeah.
Maggie's, she's got called hard-headed Maggie for a reason. She's pretty hard-headed, and you have to do something over and over and over.
Yeah.
Unless it's something you don't want to teach her, then she picks it up just like that, you know. But they pick up the bad things really quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's pretty hard-headed.
Yeah, and I've seen dogs that were really smart, that were, if you make one little mistake with them, then all of a sudden you're backed up a month or two.
Yeah.
You know, you're just like, man, I got to fix a problem that I've created now because this dog is so smart and she's so tentative to what you're doing. But then you get a dog like Maggie that's a 100% natural, and she is a little hard-headed. Even if you do make a little mistake in training, Maggie can overcome that, I assume.
Yep, I think so.
Yeah. And if you're not training on her, I guess it don't matter anyway.
Right. Yeah.
When you started Maggie, you know, she said she was, 6 months old when she treated her first ones here behind the house. When you go to take her by herself and you start hunting her by herself, did she immediately just go do it?
Yep, just immediately just started going and running and trailing tree and coons. I mean, not messing with anything else, no possums. No.
Really? So a trashy pup that was out here getting turtles stuck in her mouth and running rabbits and treeing squirrels.
When she discovered there was a coon, she forgot about everything else. I did have one very small possum problem with her just one night.
Yeah.
And I walked her over a possum. I was walking through a bunch of brush. She had just treated a coon. Just walked her through a bunch of brush, and I was hunting with Alan Gasson and Coleman. And we were in a big bottom, just recutting. And so I walked right over a possum. She fought that possum, and I looked down. I thought, she's got a possum in her mouth. So I jerked her up, and I walked a little ways and recut her. And when she went and struck, she was squeaking. And I thought, well, that's weird. She doesn't strike like that. She went and struck another possum. She's treating a brush pile. I pulled her off there and turned her loose again. And she went a couple 100 yards and struck and squeaking again. And treed completely different. Treed completely different this time. I walked up there, and she was treed underneath a tree, like up in there. So I took my phone and looked up in there, and there was a possum. So I thought I had overdid it. So I cut myself a switch, and I shoved her head up in there with that possum, and I wore her out with a switch. I thought, we're in this right now. And pulled her off there, and she was always happy and always had her tail wagging no matter what's going on. Yeah. She's an extremely happy dog and wants to get cut loose again and happy. Yeah. She wasn't wagging her tail, and I thought, I've did it now, because she looks defeated right now. Yeah. So I turned her loose, and we were about ready to quit. I turned her loose, and she went. It took a little while, but she treed a den tree, and she just barely treed. Yeah. And I went there, and I could see it was a big coon hotel, but I didn't find anything. So I petted her up like she had one and sent her off, and then she went and treed another one and had that one. Yeah. And so we made it right then, and she's been fine since. And knock on wood, I haven't had a possum problem since.
Did you knock a lot of coons out to her when she was young?
Some, but not every one. But yeah, I did.
Because I always thought I love a dog that likes coons. Yep. And I think especially with a natural pup that's naturally trashy too. Mm-hmm. They're not going to get their mouth on that deer. They're not going to get their mouth on that possum. Yeah. They can get their mouth on a skunk every now and then, if they do it right. But you're giving them a reward. At that coon. I think that takes away a lot of trash problems anyway on a dog that's naturally trashy. Yep. But they got to want a tree too. Mm-hmm. And so Maggie was, I assume you knocked that first one out to her.
Oh, yeah.
And then probably the first few or whatever she treed, and then she just took off with that, huh? Mm-hmm. So when you say she's hard-headed Maggie, it sounds to me like the possum problem was it fixed pretty easy.
Yeah, it was fixed easy. Yeah.
One correction, turn her loose till she trees a coon, give her that, pet her up, give her some reward, done deal. Yeah. Yep. So for a guy that don't train on dogs very often, it seems like you're doing some training, Mike.
Maybe so. I just don't think I am.
Yeah. But
I'll tell you what, I've got Coleman and Alan Gasson and Anthony King and several guys. Yeah. Kitty. Yeah. I can call, text, or whatever, and those guys if I do have any little problem or whatever, man, those guys are so good at being helpful. It's unbelievable how those guys are really
all good,
really good to me.
All good dog men and all good resources too. Yeah. But it ain't very often people, and I get in this habit too, where I can fix everything. I don't need to call anybody. I don't need to do this. I'm the dog man of the century every now and then. So it takes a little bit of humility to call somebody and say, hey, especially a guy that you're competing against in Coleman and Kitty, and you're wanting to beat them and stuff. And then it takes a little bit of humility on their end to help a guy that may take their advice and then come out and beat the brakes off of them at Super Stakes the next week.
Right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm always trying to learn.
Yeah.
And I can learn something from everyone. And I've rethought a lot of the stuff that I used to think before.
Yeah.
I'm a lot easier on a dog than I used to be.
Yeah.
I used to be, I was rough on a dog.
Yeah.
And I am so easy on him now. I let Maggie go down the road barking in the box. I'd have never, when I was younger, I would have never done, I'd never let a dog bark in the box like that.
I know that one you hunted the other night was treating the box.
She was. She was treated solid.
She was like old trader stuff. She bark all the way to where you turn her loose and then strike for a quarter.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now, I don't know what the deal is about. I remember Barry saying that old Zeb hated the box and everything. Well, Maggie, she hates the dog box. She does not want to get in the dog box. She hates it. She can't wait to get out of it. And she'll bark a little bit, especially when she knows like you're getting close or whatever, gravel road or whatever. And then when you get done hunting, she never wants to quit. She's mad, and then she'll bark all the way home.
Yeah,
I might drive an hour, and she might bark all the way home because she's mad. She wants to get turned loose again. And but I heard Barry talk about them not liking it, and I've saw a lot of dogs that's out of that line. I don't know if they're kind of claustrophobic or what, but I can take her, and she hates being in anything like that. Yeah. But I can take her and put her in the back seat, throw a blanket back there, and she will lay down and just immediately curl up and fall asleep back there. But she hates being in an enclosed box.
Yep. Do you think that might be a little bit of her attachment to you?
Well, it could be. I don't know.
Yeah. Yep. You know, because I know I've had Venuses like that, and I've had a few others like that. Little Ralph's the same way. He don't like the box much, but he likes being with me. Mm-hmm. You know, I've had the dog for a long time. I've had him since he was 9 months old, and he knows that wherever I'm at, he's probably going to get a leash unsnapped.
Right.
And so, you know, maybe that takes some of the nerves out of it with Maggie, too.
Could be. But she was kind of like that from day one.
Right.
I had a little bitty pet border, just a couple feet long, and Kitty cut me a piece of carpet to put in the bottom of it. We threw her in there, and she barked every breath, screamed and hollered in that thing. And we'd take her out, and she would curl up on Carla's lap or my grandson's lap and fall asleep and was as happy as could be. And we'd stick her back in that thing. She'd immediately start screaming. Yeah. She's always hated being in anything.
Was your wife and everybody immediately attached to her when you brought her home?
Yeah, so she liked the dogs before, but nothing like now. I mean, I refer to all my dogs as Carla's babies. Yeah. So don't get my babies hurt, she says. Yeah.
Well, that's good. It seems like you got a good support family or support structure here with your family and everything, and you got the friends and everything that helps you. How important is that when you're...
Oh, man.
Because, man, we're all out all night. We do some of the dumbest stuff, especially as family men. You know, our kids and wives are at home while we're out there tromping around through the dark. How important it is to have someone at home that supports all this.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that woman has supported me through everything. I don't know how or why. But yeah, she's been behind everything I've ever done, and that's so important. I mean, when I come home, she's getting ready. I mean, it don't matter what time I come home. She'll be out there getting dog food ready when I come home to feed the dogs.
Yeah.
You know?
That's something we all need, I think,
Yep.
in the long run to be super successful.
Yep.
And so, yeah, credit to you. But, Mike, these dogs, you know, they're so important to us, and we've had them for so long now, you know, when we get to our age and we've got kids and we've got all these family stuff. Where is that as far as a priority on everything for you in your life and all that stuff? Where's the coon hunting fall?
Well, pretty high up on my list, but always family first. And it's definitely family first. Yeah. And then the dogs, you know.
Because it's hard. It's an addiction.
Yeah, it is.
And it's hard to compartmentalize everything and not be, you know, at your kid's baseball game and worried about that pup you're getting ready to turn loose tonight.
Right. So Coulselman hollered at me earlier and said, you want to go tonight? And I said, well, I can't tonight because both grandkids are coming over and we're going to sit around and watch movies. We're going to go out to eat and then watch movies. So, I mean, I'd like to go hunting tonight. but I know better.
I know exactly how you feel. No, I'll tell you what. It's a unique area. I've had a heck of a good time visiting with this. What else you got to add before we wrap this thing up, Mike?
Well, I got a couple little, one funny story and one serious story.
I want to hear them both.
Okay. So my dad, he told me this story. He's 94.
Yeah.
And my mom goes to church a lot, and so I go sit with him on Sunday mornings while she goes to church. He's 94. He doesn't go. and he has dementia, so he's in and out all the time.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'd heard this story before, but he told me again the other morning, like just a week or so ago. But he had a dog, and they were coon hunting, and they treated a mink, and as soon as they walked up there, it jumped out, him and the neighbor boy.
Yeah.
And they probably treated 10 times or better. And they was so mad at that mink, they wanted that thing dead. Well, when that mink, they finally treated it in the den tree. So my dad got up there, he said, we're killing this mink, it's never going to do this to us again, because they just hunted from the house. He said they didn't even know to go anywhere else and hunt. And they wanted that mink done. So he got up there, put a bunch of carbide down in the hole, and he climbed up a little higher and took a piss in the hole to make a bunch of gas. And then he got back down and went and struck I don't know if he struck a match or what they had back then. But when he struck that, he had no idea. He said, luckily, he was kind of hanging on to the tree. So anyway, there was a split up that tree, and it caught his clothes on fire, burned his eyebrows off, and burned a big stripe up through his head, he said. So...
Oh, I couldn't imagine being out in the woods with something flammable. How old was he?
Oh, probably 14 or 15 or something like that.
You'd have turned me loose in the woods with a couple buddies and something flammable. I probably would have ended up the same way.
Well, actually, he said that they about got in a bunch of trouble one time because he said they'd found some cigarettes somewhere, and they were smoking cigarettes, and they had working horses back then. Yeah. The horse that they farmed with, Yeah. So they would ride him also. But him and his buddy was smoking cigarettes. They caught a wheat field on fire and about burnt the whole county down. He said, smoking cigarettes. But so they never did tell they did that. So
I don't blame him. I'd have took that one to my grave, too.
Yeah, that's right. And then the serious story is me and Kitty was coming down going to the World Squirrel Hunt. I don't remember. He had a Wipeout dog. I don't know if you remember that. He won the World Squirrel Hunt with. So... he had Zeb again, and he said, hey, I want to stop and turn loose a couple times on the way up to squirrel hunt. So me and him and Jeff Risley, who I hunted with all the time, that was my partner on Willie, and hunted with him all the time. So we took berry hunting, cut loose, Zeb again. Zeb treated coon just a couple 100 yards. And Possum and Willie both went on, and they split treed way in there. So Barry said, hey, I'll drive around and pick you guys up. So we said, okay. So it was muddy, and our feet was, how clay gets,
Oh, yeah.
Feet was great big, and Jeff was, I could tell he wasn't keeping up, and he wasn't looking good at all. So finally, he just sat down right in the middle of that muddy field and went back to him, and his lips were blue, and he was white looking and sweating and everything, and I said, man, you're having a heart attack. He said, no, he'd be fine, So we must have stayed in that field for 15 or 20 minutes and got him water and everything. And I wanted to call the ambulance or holler at Barry to call the ambulance or do something, And he refused to let me. He said, hey, no. He's like, I don't want, that's embarrassing. I don't want to be like that. I don't want Barry to know that I got down like this. And I was like, well, he won't care, you know. He could care less. We just want to get you help. He refused to let me and talk me into not doing that. And so we finally got through there, got to the other two dogs, and got out to the road. And Barry said, why didn't you guys come through? I was right through here, I didn't tell him that. We was trying to keep him out of walking through another field, And we went the long way around where it was easy to walk. And I don't know if it was a few weeks or a month later, but he died of a heart attack at 36 years old.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I always thought, hey, if I would have made him go to the doctor, stayed on him about going to the doctor, or called an ambulance that night, that guy, he would have lived. Because he was plugged and didn't know it.
No, it's sometimes we need protection from ourselves.
Yep.
Yeah. No, Mike, I tell you what, this has been one of the more enjoyable sit downs I've had. You got a beautiful home. You got a beautiful wife. I appreciate all the hospitality. I appreciate you taking me hunting, last or night before last, I guess. And we're going to do this again sometime. I'm going to come up. Okay. We'll go hunting. You're welcome in North Missouri anytime you bring old hard-headed Maggie out.
Sounds good.
We don't have to worry about trying to catch her because we can drive to all the trees at my house. So
sounds good.
It'll be good. And, man, you got you a good little young female, and I hope you guys just go on a heck of a tear. You've been on a pretty good tear already, and I hope you guys keep it up.
So. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Mike Pulke. I am Josh Michaelis. This is Tree Dog Tuesday, and we thank you guys for listening.